This Bengals offense would be absolutely insane if they had a good receiving tight end on the team. Also, what the heck does Logan Wilson have to do to get some recognition in the NFL media? The dude's been playing like a baller, and it seems like nobody is talking about him outside of the Cincinnati Bengals media. Stay tuned, and we will discuss both those things near the end of this video. The Bengals played in what was arguably their biggest game of the year to this point. Coming into this game, Joe Burrow had to prove he was back against a very good San Francisco 49ers defense. Dre Greenlaw, Nick Bosa had monsters playing for them 49ers, and I was a little scared, but Joe Burrow, he showed he's back. Big story, I think, is the Bengals defense had to show they can limit the run against the best running back in the NFL, that is Christian McCaffrey, and they did. Kind of. McCaffrey was still able to get 54 rushing yards, a little more than I was hoping. I was kind of hoping they'd keep him in that 43 to 45 range that the Vikings and other teams have been able to keep him in. But it wasn't as bad as it could have been. He could have easily had a 100-yard rushing game. He did have a rushing touchdown, but that just seems inevitable at this point. And that did tie him with Lenny Moore for the most consecutive games with a touchdown. Honestly, we're big fans of Christian McCaffrey on the show, and we want him to get the record, so I'm okay with that. Christian McCaffrey also added 6 receptions for 64 receiving yards and another touchdown. That hurt a little bit, but that's okay. We still won. The Bengals still didn't let him get too free like they did with someone like Gus Edwards, who had 62 rushing yards when the Bengals played the Baltimore Ravens. Defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo's bend don't break defense appeared to be back, allowing the 49ers to run the ball, and even allowing a few big passes to tight end George Kittle, but ultimately they got the stop when it was necessary and when it was important to the game. To that point, Jermaine Pratt had an interception near the goal line that kept the 49ers from getting another touchdown. But there's another guy who we have talked about on the podcast a lot, and he hasn't necessarily gotten the attention he deserves. He hasn't gotten the playing time we think he deserves, but he did have a huge play on 3rd and 14 in the second quarter. That is Jordan Battle. Brock Purdy attempted to run for the first down using his legs like he had been all day, and Battle read the play. He came down from his safety position, and he stopped Brock Purdy right before the first goal line and forced the 49ers to have to, I believe, punt. However, this is another thing I'd like to see the Bengals defense work on. Brock Purdy isn't known for his mobility in the NFL, but he did make a few first down runs. He made the Bengals pay for not necessarily guarding the run from him as much, and that could just be because of the defensive scheme. He wasn't that wasn't necessarily what the Bengals were looking for when they were playing him. However, they're playing guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson coming up on the schedule, including Josh Allen this Sunday. So being able to stop that is going to become necessary very quickly here. So hopefully the Bengals defense is able to scheme for that and prevent the quarterback run. But back to the good stuff. On the offensive side of the ball, we are starting to see more of the Chase Higgins-Boyd show. And that's something that we'd kind of been missing. It seemed like we either got Chase or we got Higgins or we got Boyd. But having all three of them be weapons, that's new to really this game, in my opinion, and I loved watching it. Joe Burrow was able to spread the ball around. He got the ball to Chase for 10 receptions and 100 yards. We started to see more of T. Higgins, who's someone who has been struggling with a rib injury, but he still had 5 receptions for 69 yards. Tyler Boyd had 3 receptions for 40 yards. And Yoshi, I didn't forget about you. You had a 2-yard touchdown reception. As a rookie, I love this man so much, even just for his nickname. But a big part of this successful passing game, in my opinion, was the run game. That has been something we've kind of seen. If it doesn't work early on, the Bengals abandon it. But it seemed like they were more willing to run the ball this game. The O-line was getting Joe Mixon holes, and he was averaging 5 yards per carry For the first time this season, he had 5.4. That's great, especially on those first down runs. If it's 2nd and 5, that is way more manageable than 2nd and 8. Love to see that. Fantastic play calling. Something that we were criticizing early on from the Bengals. Zach Taylor didn't really seem to jive with what the offense wanted. Joe Burrow was obviously hurt, so that was difficult. Now we're getting back to that Bengals football that we love to watch. So do I think that this Cincinnati Bengals offense and team can be Super Bowl contenders? Yeah. I mean, we saw them struggle at the beginning, but all these teams have struggles. And a lot of the playoffs is, when do you get hot? And if my team is going to be bad at any point in the year, I'd much rather them be bad in September, early October, than in November and December when it's playoff time. We're getting into the playoffs. This is when I think the Bengals get the hottest, and it seems like they're trending that way right now. They've got a hard schedule ahead of them. Don't get me wrong. I totally understand the doubts, but after yesterday's game, seeing Joe Burrow was so exciting, so fun to watch. There is one position, though, that I'm worried about, and that's the tight end position. The last 3 years, the Bengals have had 3 different starting tight ends, from CJ Uzomah to Hayden Hurst to Irv Smith Jr., and I wasn't a huge fan of Hayden Hurst coming in. He proved me wrong. He had a great season for what he was asked to do. Got a huge contract with the Carolina Panthers. Now, Irv Smith Jr. came in, and I wasn't a huge fan of that signing either. But the fact that I was wrong about Hayden Hurst kind of clouded my judgment and made me think, okay, I'm going to give Irv a chance. He just hasn't produced what I wanted to see from the tight end position, what we've seen Uzomah do, what we've seen Hayden Hurst do. And I don't think all of it is his fault, to be honest. He's being asked to do something that he's not necessarily the best at. He's not a receiving tight end. Same thing with Drew Sample. Their main skill is blocking, which they do an okay job of. But I'd like to see a receiving threat of a tight end. Not a Travis Kelce where that's all they do, but more of a Gronk where they can do both. And the Bengals just don't have that right now. I'd like to see them bring someone in who can do that. And with the trade deadline coming up, it's ending tomorrow on Halloween at 4 p.m. I'd like to see them go after someone. I've seen speculation maybe Hayden Hurst comes back. I don't see that one happening. I could see maybe Mike Gesicki from the Patriots. I would love if somehow they get Michael Mayer from the Raiders, even though he's a rookie. That's who I wanted the Bengals to draft in the first round anyway. They didn't. They drafted Myles Murphy. Okay, we'll move on. But if they somehow get Michael Mayer, that would be wild. Dawson Knox, I believe, is still injured. So I'd be okay with them getting him because I do think he's a great tight end, but he wouldn't be able to come in right away. Fantastic player, though. There are guys who I think the Bengals could go after and get, but I'm not sure that they will. On that same note, Tanner Hudson has shown some promise. He's been on the practice squad of a couple teams. Right now he's with the Bengals. I don't think he's the long-term answer, though, so I still would like to see the Bengals go after someone at the trade deadline. And maybe they have, and it's just not working out. They're not winning these trades, but I'd like to see a new tight end who can catch the ball. That's all I'm saying. But we're going to finish this on a high note. I did not forget about Logan Wilson. He also had an interception, and he almost had 2 interceptions yesterday. He did drop one, though, but hey, the pass wasn't caught, and that's the main goal. Logan Wilson is simply the most underappreciated linebacker in the NFL. There's no question about it in my mind. I love this guy. His ability to read the offense is right up there with the best of them, Roquan Smith, Dre Greenlaw. And when he plays in-zone coverage, he's usually near the middle of the field. He locks down the middle of the field. There were a couple times Brock Purdy, was trying to throw it over the top of Logan Wilson. Didn't. Logan Wilson's vertical, he just reached up, batted it down. Great play from Logan Wilson. I love watching Logan Wilson play. He's one of my favorite players on the defense. I was really scared that we were going to lose him. However, he's back. Bengals got him on the cheap for a contract. Him and Jermaine Pratt are currently combined still less than what the Ravens are playing Roquan Smith, which is wild because I think either of them could get money elsewhere. Logan Wilson already has 57 tackles this season and 3 interceptions. It's crazy to me that no one's talking about him. The fact that the Bengals got him with a 3rd-round pick in 2020 is, I mean, this dude is so good. Whenever we talk about the 2020 draft, we always talk about Burrow and Higgins. Everyone forgets Logan Wilson was part of that draft too. So, phenomenal job by the Bengals getting this guy with a 3rd-round pick. I think he could have gone much higher. If you aren't a Bengals fan, I strongly suggest you learn about Logan Wilson because he's going to be a talking point soon in the NFL. Something is going to happen. His big media day is coming. If you are a Bengals fan, you already know what I'm talking about. Logan Wilson is so good. He's so fun to watch. You always know he's going to make a big play at some point during the game. After yesterday's game and seeing the resurgence of Joe Burrow and the offense against the Avengers of the NFL, the unbeatable San Francisco 49ers, who have been in kind of a slump lately. Not saying that they're bad. They've been in a bit of a slump. I think it's safe to say the Bengals are once again Super Bowl contenders. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching that video, guys. If you want to check out a most recent full episode of No Buts About It, that's going to be right over here. Right there. Check that out. And if you just want to see more short clips, we're going to have one right over here for you to watch. Check out No Buts About It on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts so you can listen to us on the go. Once again, have a great day and go do something nice for someone.